This is Elizabeth Streb, the one, the only, originator of pop action, which you're going to see tonight right here at Streb Labs for Action Mechanics in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. It's Slam Show number 7, May 2006.
I feel fantastic. Actually, I feel armed and extremely dangerous.
Oh, wow. Watch
Action
out.
forever. Batten down the hatches.
My name is Elizabeth Streb. I'm an action architect. In other words, I construct what I see as extreme action events for theatrical purposes. And I've been doing that for the last 25 years. I'm interested, I collect my information by looking out into the world and grabbing errant motion accidents. My heritage is from the slapstick artists, a lot of the slapstick artists, the stunt people, the Depression era physical inventors of disastrous acts, such as going over Niagara in a barrel, sitting on poles for endless amounts of time, Houdini. So all of that type of antic physicality is my domain.
I would like to welcome you to Slam Show number 7, which of course means we have 6 other ones, which is really exciting. We're thrilled for you to be here. We want to express that we are always open to the public. This is an experiment to examine public/private. We want you to check our website, come watch us work, come just use the facilities.
Just about 1980, I count my first full evening of work, which occurred in 1981 as the beginning of my professional career. The technique is called pop action, and it is a way of moving that I think is unique. It's exploding the muscle groups, which then drag the skeleton along in a forceful manner rather than volitionally deciding you're going to transfer weight onto one foot or another. It's an issue of re-examining grace, ideas of grace, and how I believe it's been substantiated as an idea vis-a-vis music. And when your subject is action, as ours is, which is an abrupt episodic system, the idea of grace changes dramatically. is more a way of looking at the world. It is a way of believing or doing an analysis of movement through, I think, the veil of class. I think labor. I think our work, Pop Action, is about people who work for a living, people who have to take heavy things from one place to another. I grew up, my dad was a mason. He was a bricklayer. So I grew up, and it was very blue collar. He didn't run a company, he laid brick and cement block. And so, I grew up with a huge reverence for that type of labor and what it does, the scarification that happens to the human body as day by day by day, the body absorbs the labor, and it essentially cripples the body. But I think that everyone in the world who dedicates themselves to movement, and no human escapes this problem, you have to move to live. There's a certain rite of scarification that occurs in each and every person. Even the more privileged people who mostly do nothing get scarred by doing nothing. And so the emblem of movement is on each and every body. And I think that the subject and metaphor of what we do here at Streb has to do with the human endeavor of motion and movement, and how necessary it is in some lives and how minimal it becomes in others. And so I think that the richest form of communication is through action, is through movement. I want to construct an action moment or a series of action moments where the audience, how do I keep the audience's attention, right? They're not doing anything for the most part. So it's like reading a great book. You know how it is when you read a great book, you're like, oh, what happens next? What happens next? Oh no, how could that have happened? Oh my gosh, what happens next? And I want I want it to be like, oh, they didn't just do that. Oh, they're not gonna, please, don't, please. And that's, I try and think about what movement provokes wonder or surprise or really magic, Douglas Adams, the man who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, has effervescent definition of flying. And his definition of flying is to throw yourself at the ground and miss. And it's that kind of thing that I like. How could you do that? Well, you keep on going, right? And the hegemony of the ground, its ubiquity has always bugged me, because there's nothing you seemingly can do about it. You stop at the ground.
Yeah.
A piece that we do here at Streb is called Tide, and it's formally, every one of the pieces has a formal idea, and it needs to be fundamental physically, or I think it won't be a rich enough vocabulary. It won't provoke a rich enough vocabulary or series of moves. So this one is really about simply frozen distance. The rope is 12 feet long. The two people that are involved, for instance, stand back to back and then run away from each other as if they'll die if they don't get away from each other. And they have to forget the fact that they are attached by a 12-foot rope. And when the rope, the fixed distance of 12 feet ends, the movement that happens is so shocking. It's almost like the ground gets swept up under them, into them, rather than them falling to the ground. I sort of think that we all partake in the generation of culture. And I think that one of the things, certainly one of the things apropos of your question, is the school systems have completely, deconstructed the value of, physical education, certainly the arts, certainly the danger for young minds to not be exposed to some kind of freewheeling thinking, even in and of their own thought patterns and their own entities, like for them to hold as valuable, these the consequential thoughts that might flitter through their head about other things besides the 3 R's. is critical. And so I think that one of the things Pop Action offers in our kids program here, separate from how much I get from them, which is really the selfish motive that I watch kids move, and that's the end game for me, is really being able to offer that, not by going in the New York City school system, because I don't want to do that, but by bringing people into an environment that I've constructed, really keeping younger people in mind. Like, they like bright colors, and so do I, I mean, really, I'm an adolescent, there's nothing like mature about me, and mostly my management and my people who are trying to control me tell me to, stop acting like a 5-year-old, basically. But I think that kind of thing, you walk in here and you're just basically told yes, and again, it's all about what's the scale of it. And I believe in osmosis. Like, I can affect maybe a couple hundred people here a week, and then they can affect a couple other people, and it goes out like ripples in a pool. And I think if it works here as a model, we could have an effect on cultural centers and educational pedagogies and curricula. And when they start to decide what's important to leave in and what's important to take out, we can maybe have a voice at the table there. So I'm interested in civic dialogue on those terms, but also in just like the happenstantial exchange that we have with strangers walking by who might wander in. My whole diatribe is, action is everything, and don't stop moving, and action forever. It really heals the soul, I think. And for me, I get to wake up every day and be happy because I'm doing what interested me most from the very beginning of my life. which was movement. I get to still do it every day at 56. I get to wake up and think, let's see, what move will I do today, or think of, or draw. And so I guess my resounding cry would be, do whatever you want. It's possible. And it's not impossible. And don't worry about money, and don't worry about anything that has to do with practicality. Just, follow your heart, because that's where the joy is.